Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Tracy and Jason share memories of Monica. Plus, has Britt been cured of Huntington's? Britt returns to General Hospital and asks Liz to have her prescriptions filled. Liz is quick to point out that she'll need to see a doctor first, as it's policy. Liz puts her name on a list, refuses to give her preferential treatment, and tells her to take a seat and wait her turn. Later, Lucas checks in with Liz as to his next patient, and learns it's the Britt. Lucas hates this, but asks Britt how he can help her. She refuses to wait for another doctor and goes with him to get her meds taken care of as quickly as possible. Lucas and Britt go to an exam room. She explains she's been keeping her Huntington's in check with an experimental drug. Now she doesn't have access to it, so she needs the meds on the list she gives him. Lucas tells her that he must examine her, it's policy, and hands her a gown. Lucas looks her over and says she is presenting no symptoms of Huntington's, and it seems like a miracle. Is it a miracle? Sounds like they just hinted Britt's cured. Britt says it was a miracle, but her symptoms will come back, which is why she needs these prescriptions. Lucas will write her scripts, but he doubts the undead have insurance, and these meds will cost a pretty penny. After her exam, Britt goes to see Terry and Portia. The doctors are stunned to see her, and Britt says she knows how busy they are, so of course, she'll come back to work. Terry explains that Portia took over her position, and she was declared dead by this hospital. That means medical fraud occurred. Portia says they'll need information about how this happened. Britt sits down with them and can't explain the last project she worked on, as it was top secret, but her employer faked her death. Terry suggests she work on getting her license back and apply at Mercy. Britt reminds Terry how great a doctor she is, and this place means something to her. Terry still can't get past the fact that she falsified records. Portia, obviously feeling the need to pay her sticky situation forward, says they understand life puts people in serious positions, and perhaps they can find something for her. Charlotte meets her mom at Bobby's after hanging flyers for Outback. Rocco is still out, so Lulu uses the time to bring up Valentine. Lulu assures Charlotte her father is fine and asks how she'd feel about visiting him. Charlotte notes that it is supposedly against the rules, and wonders what has changed. Lulu tells her about Brennan's visit, and she honestly doesn't know what Brennan gets out of this from Valentine. Charlotte wants to go but admits it will be hard seeing him locked up. Lulu says this will be difficult, and if she wants to go, she'll be with her the whole time. Rocco soon joins them, and he blames himself for taking Outback's leash off. Lulu says Outback is tough, reminds them she was a stray, and insists they'll find her. At the stables, Molly shows up as Cody works, pets Outback, and asks what her name is. Cody hasn't figured it out, and right now, the dog is a secret, as he doesn't know if Tracy would approve. Molly says she'll keep his secret, but he might want to do better at hiding her. Molly explains she came here to apologize, as she told Liz about what happened with him, Christina, and Ava. She should never have talked about his business with anyone else. Cody jokes with her at first, pretending to be devastated, but says they are all good. Molly decides to leave him to his business, and she won't tell anyone about the dog. However, she thinks he should. Gio visits his grandpa Sonny at home. Donna jokes with him, "How's my favorite nephew?" Sonny explains they are having a cookout today, and Christina, Michael, and Dante are coming. Sonny sends Donna off to set up some games. He invites Gio to stick around, but no pressure, and asks what brings him by. Gio needs $10,000. Gio explains it's a reward for Outback, and Sonny offers him the money, no questions asked. Gio promises to return the favor, so Sonny says he could stick around for the cookout. He doesn't expect Dante and him to make up, but they are family. Christina walks in, followed by Dante. Sonny takes the food they brought to the fridge. Dante asks how things are, and Gio tells them about Outback. Christina says she's sure the dog will be found. Donna runs in and asks Gio to stay for the cookout, given that they have so much extra food. Gio agrees to stay for a bit, and he, Sonny, and Donna go out to the grill. Dante admits to Christina he's not sure this is a good idea. She tells him that if he wants a relationship with his son, he should focus on spending time with him and not dwell on unpacking their issues at this very second. At the Quartermain mansion, Tracy refuses to believe Monica is gone, as the kids were just up there to see her. Jason explains she has no pulse and isn't breathing. He also relays that she's cold, and he believes it happened in her sleep. Jason calls the proper authorities to report the death. He and Tracy then embrace. The paramedics and the sheriff arrive to pronounce her dead, and they explain the funeral home will be by shortly to pick up the body. In the living room, Jason looks at a photo of Monica and holds back his tears. He rejoins Tracy in the foyer. He's never known this place without Monica. Tracy knows, touches his cheek and jokes. After all, it's Monica's house. Tracy begins ranting about her moronic brother giving Monica the house, and recalls fighting with her one Christmas over the decorations. Tracy cries through it all, that her respect for Monica grew over the years. Tracy and Jason sit down, and she tells him that his moving back meant a lot to Monica. Jason reflects on the hard times he and Monica had after his accident. He thinks back to telling Monica that he didn't need her looking out for him, but Emily did. Jason admits to Tracy that he used to not care about his lost memories, but now, he wishes he had memories of growing up with Monica as his mom. He should have asked her more about that time when he had the chance. Tracy says he can ask her, as Monica told her practically everything. At GH, Portia and Terry talk in private before inviting Britt back into their office. They have a position for her, she'll be on probation, and all they can offer her is an intake job in the ER. Britt calls it so beneath her, but she accepts it. On Sonny's porch, the family talks about Outback and how everyone is looking for him. Dante tells Gio that his work searching for the dog means a lot to Rocco. At Bobby's, Rocco and Charlotte return to handing out flyers. Before leaving, Charlotte hugs her mom and tells her she's the best, which makes Lulu smile. In the stables, Molly tells Cody that the only person making this dog situation hard right now is him, and that the QS may surprise him. Finally, Tracy and Jason continue to talk about Monica. Tracy says since she's been back, she and Monica have had tea every evening and talked. Many of their talks were about him. Tracy remembers how much Alan's affair and Jason's birth hurt Monica, and she refused to even let him in the house, so baby Jason stayed at the gatehouse with Susan and Scott. However, when he got sick and needed her, Monica was there for him. From that night on, Monica thought of him as her son. Jason thanks her for sharing that afternoon in Port Charles, and the Quartermain mansion felt quieter than usual. The portrait of Alan Quartermain hung stoically on the wall, his presence a reminder of what once was, and the house seemed unusually empty without Monica's voice filling the air. Jason stood in the living room, his hands tucked into the pockets of his leather jacket, his eyes fixed on the framed family photo that sat on the mantel. Tracy entered the room, her heels clicking against the polished floor, a brandy glass already in hand. She paused when she saw Jason, her sharp eyes softening just a fraction. "Well," she said, her tone a mixture of sarcasm and grief, "I should have known you'd come skulking around here sooner or later." The strong, silent type paying respects in his own way. Jason turned to look at her. "It doesn't feel real without her." Tracy let out a long sigh, moving toward the couch. "That's because it isn't. Not yet. You think you'll walk through that door and she'll be in the parlor, scolding the staff, or worse, one of us." Monica had a way of making everyone feel like children again. Jason almost smiled. "She never gave up on me. Not once. Even when I pushed her away. She always believed I'd find my way back." Tracy sat, sipping her drink thoughtfully. That was Monica. Stubborn as hell, and more forgiving than most of us deserve. You know, I used to envy her. She could love without condition. I never had that gift. Jason lowered himself into the armchair across from her. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was full of unspoken memories, of regrets, of shared love for the woman who had held the Quartermain family together when everyone else seemed intent on tearing it apart. "I remember," Jason said finally, his voice quiet, "when I first came back to Port Charles after the accident. She tried so hard to reach me. She kept reminding me of who I used to be. She never stopped trying, even when I made it clear I wasn't that person anymore." Tracy leaned forward. "That's because she understood better than anyone what it meant to lose someone. She lost Alan, she lost Emily. And in a way, she lost you too. But she never stopped fighting to keep her family close." Jason nodded, eyes glistening. "She'd want us to do the same." Tracy chuckled bitterly. "You mean she'd want us to play nice, sing Kumbaya, and eat Thanksgiving pizza like a happy family?" She shook her head. "Jason, You know as well as I do this family doesn't work that way. But for Monica, maybe we can try. At least for a little while. The two sat in a rare moment of unity, a truce formed by grief. For once, Jason and Tracy weren't at odds. They were simply two people mourning a woman who had shaped both of their lives in ways they couldn't fully put into words. Meanwhile, across town at General Hospital, Britt Westbourne sat in her office, staring at the folder on her desk. Her heart raced as she flipped through the latest medical reports. 4 years, Huntington's disease had hung over her head like a storm cloud, dictating her choices and shortening her vision of the future. Every time she made a plan, every time she dared to dream, that looming diagnosis was there to snatch it away. But now, her hand trembled as she touched the test results. Negative. The word practically leapt off the page. Britt blinked, her lips parting as though she'd misread it. She read it again, then again. Her genetic test showed no active markers of Huntington's. She whispered into the empty room, "I've been cured?" Tears welled in her eyes, but they weren't just tears of joy. They were complicated, tangled with guilt and disbelief. How many nights had she cried, alone, terrified of becoming the shell of a person her mother once described to her? How many times had she pushed people away, Brad, Jason, even her mother, Liesl, because she thought she wouldn't live long enough to love them properly? And now, after all of that, she was free? She picked up the phone and nearly called Brad, but her hands were shaking too much. Instead, she sank into her chair, letting out a laugh that was half sob. For the first time in years, the weight of the future didn't feel like a prison sentence. Yet Britt couldn't help but wonder, why now? Why me? Was it possible that Liesl had found some miracle treatment she hadn't confessed? Had her mother secretly intervened with one of her experimental therapies? Or had there been a mistake in her original diagnosis? Her medical mind told her to be cautious, to double-check, to verify and re-verify. But her heart told her to celebrate, to finally allow herself to live. As she sat there, overwhelmed by the possibilities, her thoughts drifted to Jason, the man who had once seen her not as the Britt, but as a woman capable of love and sacrifice. She remembered the quiet moments they'd shared, the way he looked at her as though she wasn't defined by her mistakes. If Monica were here, Britt thought, she'd tell her not to waste another second. Grab life, Monica would say. Stop being afraid of what's next. The words echoed in Britt's mind as she finally picked up her phone. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. Maybe it was time to find Jason, to share this miracle, to see if life had something new in store for both of them.